Hello, all, and welcome to Movie Bears Podcast TV. I'm Brad Harris, and man, whenever we could get our schedules together, and I'm talking about my wonderful co-hosts and I, enjoy sitting around the hearth, sipping some fine wine, and talking about TV. In fact, though, we don't have a hearth, I don't think. And I certainly
in our hearts we do.
I certainly don't have any wine right now. I have a bottle of Aquafina. Does that count? I don't know. But with me, as usual, is my wonderful, my delectable co-host, Casey Scott. Casey, welcome back.
Hello, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. There's so much to talk about. Oh my lord, that's always good though. A long hiatus. You come back and there's so much to talk about that it's a jam-packed show. So totally. Always good.
And it has been a little while. So we kind of took a break for 7 weeks, something like that.
It feels like longer.
Yeah, it does, right? But
I lost track.
We had kind of parsed through the new shows that came out over the summer, and then we were in that weird period between those and the fall premieres. But the good news is, oh my gosh, everything's back. We have so much to talk about. But I do want to just say real quick, we're missing somebody, Casey Scott.
I know. I feel like there's a third of my heart that's missing.
Right?
I feel incomplete.
Well, here's Poe, and she's going to help us out as
she's sitting in
our honorary third host. So Stephen Heslin will be joining us here in about 20 minutes or so. He unfortunately got stuck in traffic. Stupid traffic.
I know. Is he in Los Angeles?
I think he's in LA. Yeah.
Okay,
LA traffic is like the worst traffic anywhere.
Oh, terrible.
It's awful. Like, we went to visit some friends in LA over New Year's, and we were so excited because, we're getting on, we're about to get off the highway. We're like, oh my gosh, we're only like 3 miles away from you. Kid you not, 50 minutes in stop and go traffic
for three
miles to get off the highway and get to the house.
Oh no.
It was crazy. Anyway, Stephen, we love you. We'll see you soon.
Fingers crossed.
In the meantime, man, we do have a lot to kind of catch up on, especially with regards to fall premieres. So, Casey Scott, why don't we take a little time and maybe just talk about 2 or 3 shows that we're kind of coming back to, or maybe a new show this season that you're excited about. Why don't you kick us off? What's first on your list?
All right. So I really wish we had a theme song for MeTV. We should work on that.
I know, right?
I would love to be able to edit that in.
we need like a show musician,
Yeah, we do.
Do
like Steven has the theme song, Steven Can't Even, like if something come off that week, I still think of that quite often actually.
Oh man,
just can't even. So what am I watching? Okay, so I think that something that you and I are probably both watching is Survivor.
Yes,
the new season. I thought I'd kick off with something that I'm sure that all three of us would be watching, so we'd be able to talk about it. I'm not loving the season.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a major come down after last season, which was just a great surprise of the Beauty versus Brains versus Brawn, where there were so many great characters, and all the players really seemed like they were playing very passionately, with the exception of like Joe, basically, but the old Joe. But this season, the theme is Millennials versus Gen X, which I hated from the get-go. I was like, can we get a new name for this? Like, this is not great. And they are really hammering this theme in every single episode, every single tribal council. I'm just like, oh, can we get a merge now so we can stop talking about this shit? Because it drives me crazy. But there are some really great characters that I'm liking. I'm liking Michaela. Loving Zeke, totally in love with Zeke
for sure, and
he likes the Bears. We have a mutual friend who apparently got physical with him some time ago, and I won't name names, but going by my friend, I would say that Zeke is into the Bears.
Okay,
so that's always good. So he's one of us.
Why have you not yet reached out to Zeke and been
trust me, I have.
Oh, okay.
I've been chasing after Zeke
Oh.
since, oh my gosh, before the season started.
I didn't realize you were a chaser, Casey Scott.
I'm totally into Zeke. I love Zeke. I have all kinds of. I'm into all kinds of guys. If they're funny and have facial hair and have a gorgeous smile, then I'm on board.
Well, there you go. Zeke fits the bill.
He totally does, and I like Brett for visual appeal. And he's also family. He's also gay too.
Right.
So there's two gay players this season. One is really downplaying it. I don't even think he's going to be talking about it on the show. There are some other interesting characters, but for the most part, I'm not wowed. This season, the 90-minute premiere did not need to be 90 minutes. It could have been an hour. We didn't get anything extra with that 30 minutes. Some players are already demonstrating themselves to be good characters, but not good players. So while they may be making big moves, so to speak, in the last, for example, well, I guess I won't spoil it, but I know in the last episode, there was a big move at Tribal Council, which of course it made for good TV, but it was a really stupid move.
so let's just do this. For anyone who's listening that isn't watching the new season of Survivor, shame.
I know. You should be watching it, even if you're like me and kind of on the. I just keep watching because I know something interesting is going to happen every week, and there are characters that I like that I want to see every week.
Definitely, and B, we're going to spoil it. So
yes.
Fair game. Here's your chance. Step away. Do what you got to do. You do you. But Casey, go for it. So talk about that moment, because let's unpack that.
Yeah. So one of the big breakout characters this season is David, who is a television writer, and he just even before the season started, I was like, oh, this guy isn't going to last long, I don't think, because he's kind of like Cochran, but with less confidence, if that's even possible. Like Cochran was like this totally nerdy fish out of water, like indoor kid, and David's even worse than that. So David miraculously finds an idol. Of course, the people that find idols are the people that you least expect to find idols. I don't know how that happens, scripted, but he has this idol, and he decides to play it for another character who, in all the editing we've seen on the show, they have like no relationship. So I have no idea why he played it to save this character. I guess it gave him it kind of gives him the numbers, but not really. Because I think if you're a fan, you know that the switch up is coming, and it's usually after the 4th week. So
yeah, but I think he's trying to like make plays on both sides of the aisle. Yeah, and going into the merge or whatever the switch up is, I think he needs a few people on each side of it, right? So I actually think it was kind of a brilliant move in a way to bring Jessica over to his camp, even though they haven't had a strong relationship. Now she's like, oh my God, these people were all trying to oust me, and he saved my life. Now I'm going to be his like ride or die. You can tell I've been watching Big Brother. That's friendship.
Yeah, I guess when you put it when you think about it in that way, but I just thought of it in terms of I think he even knew it was a bad mistake, because he even prefaced that play with like, I just want to say it's been an honor playing with you all. Like, I know you're going to hate me. It's like, yeah, pretty much, because like even his ally he didn't even tell his ally he was going to do it. And so the ally ended up voting for Jess too. So it's just like, no, this really didn't go great. It's, you should probably communicate with your allies. Yeah. and know what you're doing.
Could have been executed a lot better, right?
Yeah, he's kind of sloppy. I mean, I will admit it was great TV. I was watching it with my sister, who never watches the show, and she was like really like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, see, this is why I watch the show. Even though I don't really agree with that, it was very entertaining to watch. What are you thinking of this season, though?
It's a mixed bag for me, Casey. And some of the things that you're calling out are resonating with me. I think that there aren't a lot of people here that I'm like, oh man, I really love this person. Like, I want to know more about them. Definitely Zeke. I adore Zeke. Brett, I really enjoy looking at Brett and listening to Brett talk. I don't know what mainstay power he has in the game, because his alliance is really kind of crumbling sort of at this point. I mean, going into the switch up, who knows what's going to happen, right? Things are going to get shaken up. But I worry that little core of guys is just dwindling, and he's going to be gone. Chris, I also like looking at Chris.
I love looking at Chris. Yeah,
but he is kind of a dick. And
yes, he is.
It's coming back to bite him.
Yeah.
Real standout for me though is Ken.
I totally underestimated what he was going to be coming into the game. I thought he was going to be like possibly another Shane.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this guy's going to be. He's going to be, I think, a loose cannon, maybe. Because he was talking about, being a father, and he kind of even resembles Shane a bit, but
a little bit.
He's really pretty savvy for the most part,
and he's got some depth to him that I just, I didn't. I guess I didn't foresee up front, because for me, like, I don't watch a lot of the cast interviews or read the bios going into the season. So I really just go off of what's in that first episode. I think I saw a picture of everybody.
Right.
But in the first episode, I'm kind of like, he's just one of the pretty guys, whatever. We've seen a million of those come through Survivor.
Right.
And then I think it was the second episode or whatever, someone calls him Ken of Ken and Barbie. And he sort of has this emotional moment about calling him that in school and how that hurt him, and I was just like, whoa, wait a second, what? And so I've kind of been reevaluating the perceptions that I had, and I really want to see how long he can stay in this game, where he's gonna go. I mean, I'm with you, this whole Gen X versus millennials thing kind of bugs me. Especially because I feel like it's so shoehorned in more than it has been with a theme in any other season. At one point during Tribal Council, we stop the game conversation and start talking about oh, okay, guys, straw poll question for you. Do you use abbreviations in your text messages, or do you write it all out?
I was like, this has nothing to do with gameplay. What the fuck is this?
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, Jeff Probst?
And then I was also mad at the editors. I was like, editors, why did you include this?
Right.
This is pointless. It's a total waste of time.
And I know it's probably oh my God, this is our theme. We need to tie it back to our theme, because I think this is the first season where everyone was specifically cast for the theme. Usually they cast everybody and then kind of come up with a theme that loosely.
Worlds Apart, I don't think that they cast that with that blue collar, no collar, white collar thing in mind.
Right. That's just
and that was a mess too.
Yeah, it was. And so this time I feel like they're going too far the other way to be see what we're doing. We have a theme. We casted, and I just feel like it's not working. So I'm actually really looking forward to the change up going, and I can't believe Survivor's on again tomorrow relative to when
I know. I think it comes on and then the debate is on. So
right.
Oh my God, there's a lot of fireworks tomorrow. It's gonna be a very stressful evening tomorrow for me.
It is. I just hope that my our precious Zeke stays in place. And I got a little. I'll be honest, love to Zeke, but I got a little worried for him. And of course, we don't see a lot of what happens, right? We're only getting snippets of the edits, but that moment when they come back from Tribal Council and they're on the beach and Hannah is trying to talk to him, and he's like, "Can you just understand that I don't want to talk to you right now? Go away."
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh man, this is not a good situation for you. No. I know you're having an emotional moment, but she's trying to come solidify." Her connection. You should be reeling her in, and so I hope that his emotional reactions to things don't continue to isolate him. Right. I mean, I don't know. What's your take on his personality? Do you think that's kind of a one-off, or is that something that
I think when he introduced himself, he made it seem like he was definitely not wise beyond his years, but he doesn't really. He's kind of like me in that he doesn't consider himself part of the millennial crowd. He doesn't really like that whole youthful laissez-faire kind of thing. And he's like, no, I kind of like working for what I got, and I kind of respect things that you guys don't. So I already feel like there are some fundamental differences between him and the other people on the millennials tribe. So I think he will benefit from the switch up next week for sure.
I think so too. If he's put with some of the Gen Xers, I think he's going to fit in way better. There's going to be more resonance, and hopefully that'll give him some staying power.
I hope so. Well, it's funny. Someone mentioned to me, who was it who mentioned this? That I think CBS doesn't even know what Gen X is, because the way they describe Gen X is how you describe the baby boomer crowd. And those people are way too old to be on the show now. Like, they would never cast them because they're all people in their 60s and 70s. They wouldn't cast them anymore. Like Joe from last season was a baby boomer crowd.
Right.
Gen X, the Gen X crowd is like the slacker crowd of the 90s. Like, they're not the, oh yeah, we got to work hard for this. It's like, does anyone remember the 90s from 20 years ago? It's like, that's not the generation from, no.
I think what it is it's just the notion of older generation versus younger generation, rather than, Gen X versus millennials.
Right.
That said,
I feel like I should have done that.
You're right. Exactly. I think they could have easily
old versus young.
Yeah, exactly. Gone kind of that route, and then it maybe would have fit in a little bit better. But
well, I'm reminded of like Exile Island, where they had like old women and young women, and young men and old men, and then then they kind of mix those tribes up eventually. But yeah, I really don't like this theme, and it's not great, and I'm hoping it'll go away.
Well, here's the good news. This season, even if it isn't as great as some of the previous seasons, I mean, believe it or not, December's right around the corner. Christmas is coming, which means the season is quickly moving through, and then we'll have a new season starting in February. And we don't know what that theme is yet, but
I know. I just know it's all returning players. And there are very few that I'm excited for, so we'll see.
See, I don't know the cast yet. So
you don't? Okay, so Will and I already drafted our team for next season, because we were like, do you want to draft these losers? I was like,
did they release an official cast list?
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they were shooting over the summer in the same location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe since they're all returning players, I will take a look at that. But
yeah, they're all returning players.
So we've been talking about Survivor for 22 minutes already, but it was one of my picks too. So I figured it would be good conversation.
Yeah.
But I want to take the next few minutes. Maybe we can kind of rapid fire go through a couple more shows. One of the things that I have been really excited about is Supergirl.
Oh yeah.
Season 1 really left me kind of lukewarm. It was very uneven. And so, like when things wrapped up for season 1, I'm kind of like, man, I don't know. And over the summer, it was announced it was moving from CBS to the CW with some of their other superhero shows. And then Superman was made part of the cast, is at least as a recurring guest character. And I gotta say, Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is like my favorite on-screen Superman since like Dean Cain in Lois and Clark.
Oh my gosh.
I've gotten to see him in 2 episodes now. He was in the first couple of the season, and holy crap, like, sorry, Henry Cavill, like, you're hot to look at, but like your dark, gritty, soulless thing, I'm just over it. Superman is, I mean, he is light and fluffy, but he is grounded with grit. Especially the second episode of the season really takes a bit of a more serious tone. But there's some nice light-hearted moments when he's sort of Clark Kent and he's palling around with Kara and her like civilian sort of persona. So really excited about that. I think he's only going to be in these first 2 episodes for now, and then maybe coming back later in the season. But there's already discussion about him getting his own show.
Oh my gosh.
Because response has been so overwhelmingly positive. Now, I don't think you're watching Supergirl, right, Casey?
I'm not. I didn't even watch past the first episode of last season.
Yeah. So I know that, it doesn't really trip any of your triggers, but I am interested to see, maybe what happens with that. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I was intrigued that CW picked it up, and I knew that they were moving production from LA or New York or whatever to Vancouver. And so Calista Flockhart is not going to be on it that much. And I think it's going to change a few other things probably about the show. But I was intrigued by that idea of a show being moving from one broadcast network to another.
Well, and what's interesting is in the switch, they have like cut out some things that was making the show shitty last season. Like, spoilers, but this whole like relationship that Kara has with James Olsen, they've totally axed it.
Oh, that's good.
We had a whole season of build up, and it was like, oh my god, like this is the most uninteresting relationship ever. Why are you pursuing this?
Right.
And like within the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the season, They're like, oh, yep, that's over. That's done. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay.
They changed some of the sets around because they've changed locations. They've changed some of the format stuff. And because of some of the stuff that's going on in The Flash right now, which I also don't think you watch, there's some changing of timelines and universes. So now Supergirl is going to be set in the same universe, I believe, as The Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. So this December, there's like a giant, like 6-episode, like crossover thing between all 4 shows that's going to be happening.
Sweeps week.
Right. That should be cool.
Wow.
But anyway.
Well, I know my brother will be watching that. I will not, but I'm hoping it does well. I mean, I know Supergirl has a big following, and I liked the show enough. I just didn't care about it enough to keep watching.
Yeah.
And I liked the girl who played Supergirl, so I was glad it was able to keep going, and obviously had an audience. It's just CBS probably was the wrong place for it.
Well, we'll have to see if it soars a little better on the CW than CBS. But Casey Scott, what's another show that's got your?
Another show that I'm loving is Atlanta on FX, the Donald Glover show. That is probably the best new show of the season, actually. Donald Glover, who was on Community and left of his own accord. He was written off the show because he wanted to go off and do his own creative thing. Well, he approached FX, which has had shows like Louie and Baskets. It really likes to draw in a lot of comedians to do their own kind of unique, idiosyncratic stuff. They're kind of like indie movies. And so he decided to make the show that was shot in Atlanta about this guy Vern, who's an Ivy League dropout who moves back to Atlanta, and he discovers that his cousin is becoming an underground rap star, and so he decides that well, I could probably get in on this and make both of us some money. So he decides to become his cousin's manager, and it kind of follows them throughout this whole process of trying to become successful in the rap world, based in Atlanta. And it's really good. The second episode is great because almost the entire episode takes place in a holding cell in a jail in Atlanta, and it says a lot, and it kind of came at about the right time. It was timed perfectly with the Black Lives Movement and all of the current issues going on with the police nationwide. It really says a lot about the current situation, and it's funny, it's moving, it's brilliant. I think it's so good, I hope more people watch it because it's so good.
Nice. Well, maybe when I get a free minute, I will have to add that to the list to check it out. I'm always on the lookout for new shows. My problem is I'm so afraid that I'm going to get invested and then the show is going to get canceled after the first season that I'm like, maybe I'll wait and see sort of what happens. But I feel like I miss out on a lot of water cooler conversation that way. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, if the show is good, you just got to watch it. And if it goes away, then it just
wasn't meant to be.
You move on. Yeah, right. It's like any relationship. I got over the fact that Arrested Development was canceled and Freaks and Geeks and stuff, and they're still my favorite shows. So, well, my relationship with them runs deep.
We should all take a page out of your book, Casey Scott.
If something's good, just watch it and don't be afraid it's going to get canceled. If you watch it, and people watch it, chances are it's not going to get canceled.
There's a life lesson there, Casey Scott.
Feel good.
I think Shakespeare may have even said this at one point in time. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
That's exactly what it is. So if they cancel Atlanta, I will be devastated, but at least I will have enjoyed every single episode.
Well, there you go.
And it will have changed my life. In some small way. Yeah. Nice. I can't when I hear something is good, I want to watch it. I don't get nervous about it getting canceled. If I watch it, then hopefully it'll show in the ratings,
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that.
That's a good point. You're doing your part to further what you love.
Yes, you got to watch it.
There's another show and man, I feel like we could probably spend 2 or 3 hours catching up with all of these fall premieres, and without Steven here, it feels a little unbalanced to me. So here's what I propose. Maybe we set some of the premieres aside for now, because I know we're running up against some time constraints. And if we can come back a couple weeks, 3 weeks in a row, like we've been talking about doing, maybe we can kind of continuously unfold them over the next few weeks. And maybe we can get into some Westworld convo if you're up for that.
Yes, that works for me.
All right. So we will return to some fall premiere discussion.
Oh my goodness.
We have a special guest. He just flew in from Kansas.
I am so sorry, guys. On top of all that, I had
back of a
to
tornado.
my operating system a few days ago, and so I had to just now install a bunch of plugins to get this to work.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're happy to see you.
Yeah, happy to see you guys.
I'm so glad you survived LA traffic.
Thank you. Yes. That was that's always never an easy thing.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
We did not want you to rush and hurt yourself. It is after all just a podcast, but we wanted you to be safe.
Not worth losing your life over.
No, or hurting yourself.
I don't know.
Or others.
I mean, it might be.
Right. Oh yeah, Westworld discussion is totally worth losing your life.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen Heslin, we are moving on to Westworld, but before we do, just very quickly, give us 2 shows you started watching. Either again or a new show. What's
the 2 shows? I don't know if you guys have discussed it. Is Luke Cage, which I'm only about halfway through it, but not really loving it. And then RuPaul's Drag Race we just finished, which was, I thought it was a great season. I agree with your controversial thing, Casey, but overall it was amazing.
It was great. Every episode was pretty great. That's the most dramatic pull I've had in a season of that show from episode to episode since I think the 6th season. Oh, that was amazing.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I was like, no, why can't it be next Monday now?
Yeah.
Like, why do you do this to me, RuPaul?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Well, very cool. Well, we were just saying before you joined us via the magic of the internet, Stephen, that if we can maybe record again next week or the week after, we can have some more deep dive discussions on some of these other premieres. But we did want to save the cherry on top of the sundae, i.e. World, to share with you, Stephen Heslin. So what do you say? I know you're jumping right into the flames, but are you ready? Are you ready for that?
I'm so ready. I've been crafting what I'm going to say about this all day.
Oh,
yay, boy. Let's share a cherry. I'm so excited.
Can all 3 of us tie the stem of the cherry at the same time?
No.
Our tongues?
I cannot. I'll watch. I'll watch and be happy for you both.
I'll try. I'll keep trying.
All right. Well, with that said, hey, we're going to chat about Westworld. We're also going to be spoiling the first couple episodes of Westworld. So if you haven't seen the series yet, hit the pause button. Go to HBO Go. Watch the first couple episodes. Then come back, listen to our review. But that said, here we go. Our discussion of HBO's Westworld. All right, so Stephen, since you have been preparing for this all day, I feel like it would be a disservice to you not to let you go first.
Okay, good. So. Thank you. So I was really excited about this show. I saw the trailers for it when I was watching something else on HBO, and it looked intriguing. It's sort of that cowboys versus aliens sort of thing. It's modern and past, and it's this mix. It's got Jonathan Nolan as, one of the writers of it and creators of it, who's Christopher Nolan's brother, and it's done some amazing stuff. And the pedigree of actors, I thought, was amazing. So I'm like, there's no way this can fail. Right? Okay, I'm already setting this up for where I'm going.
Foreshadowing.
And then I watched the first episode. And by the way, I know we all, all over the place, they always say we're in the golden age of television. I think we are in the golden age of TV title sequences. The most beautiful TV title sequence. I mean, over and over, these new shows are coming out, and I'm just blown away by just the title sequences.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever these companies are, they're doing it. They're just doing
Who knew
amazing
3D
jobs.
printing could be so cool?
I know,
right? I know.
But anyway, so the first episode severely underwhelmed me, and I saw lots of positive feedback on Facebook. Lots of people loved it. The problems that I had with it, and the second episode didn't totally solve it either. The problem that I have is that it keeps on alluding to a story that isn't there. And I feel like they're doing this thing where it's a long haul kind of program, and they're going to reveal lots of secrets and what it means over time. But it feels like Damon Lindelof is writing this thing. It's just so many questions without any answers. What is this world? Is it only rich people that get to go here? What's the real world like? You're only getting to see the company that's running this fake world, the Westworld, but you don't get to know what year we're in, what the world is like. But on top of it, I think the thing that annoyed me the most was there was no character. Everyone speaks in this monotone voice. I mean, some of the only characters are the robots, and I think maybe that's sort of the point, is that the humans don't have character and the robots actually do. But at the same time, even those characters, are archetypes, and I don't know. I couldn't. There were so many people, and I couldn't gravitate towards anyone, and also some of it didn't make sense. Like, it seemed like there was a reset overnight, and you got to, like, the robots went back into the world. But then in the second episode, like, if they got shot, they got tossed into this room where they got kind of destroyed. So none of it really makes sense, and I don't understand how it all works. And I'm totally confused and angry.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful.
I'm neither of those.
Acted. I'm definitely intrigued, and I want to see more of it.
Sure.
But, I had such high anticipation for this, and I was kind of let down.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying. I think it's a little uneven for me too. And I think part of that is, we're about to live in a post Game of Thrones era, right?
Yeah. They want to make a new saga.
Right.
Yeah.
We've only got 14 or whatever, 15 episodes of Game of Thrones left spread out over the next couple of years. So I think HBO is like, okay, we need something to sort of anchor and replace it, right?
Right.
And so I like that this show obviously has a lot of mysteries to sort of set up, right? Kind of give the groundwork so that we can get the payoff later. Hopefully. My fear though is that it's going to take a Lost track, and you're going to and I loved Lost, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite shows. But my fear is that we're going to end up with like all these vague comments that are made and things that come up and threads that need to be pulled that, like, by the time we reach the end, like, they just don't. They're just things that are out there. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what was that all about? Oh, it's the mystery of Westworld. We're okay. So I feel like obviously over the first couple episodes, we're unpacking, and it's like, okay, but like, can we start to pack some things back up again? Like, actually, can we follow some of these plot threads, please, and start to kind of weave them together? Because I feel like, well, you've got a lot of sort of mysteries that are fraying at the edges of this Westworld thing. That's okay, but I feel like you need sort of one steady throughput that's kind of making sense and anchoring.
I agree. Totally agree.
And I think that's where it's struggling a little bit in the first couple episodes. One thing I'll say without spoiling, I think the third episode does a little bit better job of starting to kind of bring some of that together. So, Stephen, if you're, or Casey, if you're getting kind of dissuaded, I would just encourage you at least watch the third episode and see if maybe you feel a little better.
Yeah.
Right.
I definitely will. I even felt the second episode was a better setup to the whole thing than the first episode was. The way they kind of followed the one guy in, that was sort of what I was looking for. It's just some sort of introduction to what this is.
Because I think it's so hard to try and latch onto someone when you've got like 50 different characters, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is Dolores...
And on top of it, you're trying to figure out what this world is.
Exactly.
So there's so many things you're trying to get acquainted with, and you need something to kind of pull you along.
Right. And it's just difficult because it's like, well, is Dolores our protagonist? You know, the Sunny Bonnie Snow White of Westworld. Like, is it her? Is it James Marsden? Like, you know, who the fuck is it? Is it the guy? You know, the cowboy in white hat, good guy visitor that we get. You know, so it's hard to say. There's some really cool things that are going on, I feel, but I agree. I think it's taking its time, and I fear that it's going to take too much time.
Yeah,
but I'm enjoying it so far. I'll give it the good old Brad Harris 5 episodes.
I adopt that for everything now.
Oh,
I'm using that for all of the fall shows, including some shows probably shouldn't be.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, Casey, what do you think of Westworld so far? Just general impressions.
I'm not confused or angry. I'm not confused because I've seen the Westworld movie, so I know that's basically what this is. Oh, what's that?
There's a Westworld movie?
Was that was that a demon in your den, Steven?
That was.
Oh, did you?
What was that?
It's like Paranormal Activity. I don't
it was like,
that was the motorcycles riding by.
Okay. No, yeah, the Westworld movie's from 1973, and it's basically this plot of these rich people that, and in the movie there are different worlds. There's Westworld, there's Future World, and there's some other. There's several different alternate realities where you can go and experience something. So I'm not confused at all.
Can I make a request?
Yes.
Any knowledge you have that may shed light on what is going to happen, if you could just take it down.
There are no characters that are mirrored in these.
There's not. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically has taken the concept and the title. And and then it's stolen some other things from a movie called Clonus from 1978. So
you don't think like the main plot of the movie is going to play out in the series?
No, because in the movie the focus is on the humans, and on the show the focus is obviously on the robots.
Right.
It's kind of like Her, or they're kind of developing.
Sure.
They're developing emotions somehow and memories and things like that. So it's really focusing more on them. In the movie, it's much more on the people. And they're the heroes. Right. But yeah, the people are really monsters on this show. So it's like they're terrible. I mean, raping robots and killing people all over the place.
I have a question. Dolores is a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Is it rape if it's a robot whose memories can be wiped away with like a sentence?
Yes, it's still the action.
There's still no consent. So yes, it is rape.
Yeah. That question is being posed all over the internet right now, and I've been surprised.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. Like when Anthony Hopkins or whatever was with that little boy, I'm like, is he going to diddle this little boy? And then I'm thinking, like, is it pedophilia if it's in this world? And like, yeah, it's the same reason why if you download, child porn, you're not raping a child, but it's still legal to do so.
Well, but wasn't the little boy like a guest?
He's a human. They were both humans.
Yeah.
What? I thought at one point he said run along, and he just turned around and did it. I thought.
Well, he did. That was the thing. He somehow controlled the little boy and told him to go, and he followed suit. So that's where you're supposed to get this idea of, okay, what exactly is going on with the magician Anthony Hopkins' character, because he was able to control the snake and the boy.
Right.
Yeah, because the boy was like, this vacation sucks. My dad came and said we could do whatever we wanted, and I can't do anything. I'm super bored. And that's when he was like, well, only boring people are bored.
Well, I think the kid just ran off because like his parents were like out there and probably looking for him.
Oh no, he zombie walked off. I just watched it. He zombie walked off.
He definitely controlled him.
He was like, and you won't come back here, right? And he said no, and then turned and zombie walked off. So okay,
I'll have to rewatch that again. I didn't get that the first time.
Because something's going on with Anthony Hopkins.
I was also heavily drinking wine when I watched the second episode last week, so it's possible I missed that. But
I quite like it. I love the original film. I think it's an interesting concept to begin with. It's interesting because there was an Entertainment Weekly article that was trying to like ask all these questions, like, well, there are all these questions about this show, and I was like,
right,
I don't have any questions. Like, I have zero questions about the show, because it was like, well, one of the questions is what time period is this? It's like, it's the future. Next question. Like, I don't care. Right. I don't care what year it is. Like, who cares? We know it's the future because of all this shit going on.
Right.
All these questions that Entertainment Weekly is trying to pose is like, these aren't real questions. There is like no mystique here whatsoever.
I just have questions about how it all operates.
Yeah.
To me,
I don't
science
even know how it
fiction
operates.
is only as good as the rules you set up.
That's
And
true.
you have to set up rules and walk within those rules for it to make sense, which is where I think, for me, Lost actually derailed towards the end because they broke all their rules. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. And so I feel like, that's why I was asking these questions. Like in the first episode, you see the James Marsden character with Dolores, and they have this ritual, and then all of a sudden it seems to reset, and then it goes back, and even he gets shot, and then he's back in there.
Right.
But then in the next episode, he's shot and he gets dumped into a thing. It's like, so he doesn't get to get recycled again? I don't. Well, did they get recycled or did they not?
He did get recycled. I think what you're referencing is when like the head madam chick, whatever, like
Maeve,
she comes out and she's naked and she sees like this room where they're hosing down all the robots that were like shot in the shootout or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a repair room.
Yeah, and then I think after
I
they
thought
wash
they're being
them
trashed.
No, they're being repaired so they can go back.
So I think they wash them off and then they take them to individual labs that we saw around and kind of work on them.
Right. And that's what they were doing with her because they wanted to know the detail. They didn't want to know why she was talking about these dreams. So they were doing surgery on her and then they're going to put her back in.
Yeah. Right.
And then she woke up because they forgot to put her in sleep mode.
And how do you guys feel about this sort of notion of dream? So like, I think what's happening kind of based on what they've said is that like, these robots have been killed so many times. They've lived all these different stories. They've been rewritten so many times. It's just sort of like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. There's like little remnants hanging on. And whatever's going on that started with Dolores' dad, which then spread to Dolores, which is now spread to Maeve.
Right.
Like, it's almost kind of like a virus.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like there's something that's in them that has been, it's kind of like, what movie was that? Where there's like, it was a Manchurian Candidate where they're called and there's a secret thing that there's a rhyme, a nursery rhyme that is said to trigger the assassin to go do it. So it's kind of like, I feel like maybe Anthony Hopkins like triggered this in some of these so that once they hear that, it's like, oh, click, like, then it opens something up. It like opens Pandora's box of their past stories or whatever. By the way, that story writer is kind of crazy.
Oh God,
the guy who's like the architect or whatever.
The Odyssey of the whatever.
Yeah, I was like gonna make Hieronymus Bosch look like a joke, and I was like, oh dude, it's an amusement park. Like at the end of it all, it's an amusement park. You need to calm down. Like it doesn't need to be all that.
I'm just waiting for the robots to go all Jurassic Park and start retaining all their memories and like rise up and robot Viva la Revolution.
Right.
Slay all the humans except for Anthony Hopkins and Jeffrey Wright. And then Jeffrey Wright and Anthony Hopkins, end up dying of starvation, holed up in a room somewhere. And the end.
Oh my God. You need to see the 73 movie.
Really?
Yeah. You're not that far off.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I mean, obviously, some bad shit's going to go down because these robots are not going to stay robots forever.
Well, okay, I have a question. And Steven, I'm going to pose this one to you, actually. So in the first episode, like, Dolores is in analysis mode or whatever. And Bernard's like, could you ever hurt a guest or whatever? And she's like, no, I can't hurt a living thing. And this whole notion of as long as their core programming is intact, they can't hurt a living thing. But at the end of the episode, she like kills a fly.
Kills a fly. Yeah, I loved that.
That was amazing.
I was like, oh shit, it's on.
But question, because Steven, you brought up kind of like how Anthony Hopkins is controlling. So if he controlled the snake, if the snake is a robot, does that mean the fly was a robot?
Yes.
I don't know, probably.
Although there was a line in the second episode when they were operating on Maeve, and they said they're talking about, she's got some infection, blah blah blah. No wonder we have so many flies. And so I wasn't sure if that was an actual real fly, because they threw that line in there, and I feel like that line was very specific.
Right. Okay.
So it may have been a real fly, but either way. She harmed. Oh, I see what you're saying. Robots can harm robots, right? They just can't harm hosts.
Right.
Or living things.
Yeah.
But if the fly was actually not a robot, then the implication.
I think it was not a robot, and that was the
I don't think
implication
it
of
was
the shot.
Yeah,
and I think that was a
yeah.
brilliant way to end it. And
right.
I agree with you, Brad, that like I think there's so many interesting concepts and ways they can go. I'm just worried they're going to go really slow, because when she slapped that fly, I'm like, okay, it's on.
Right.
And then the next episode, like nothing happened. I'm like,
oh wait, some major stuff happened. I thought the whole Maeve thing was great. I thought
it was, but it took
her realizing what happened.
It took like an hour to get through it. Like that was 10 minutes of stuff that took like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
you know. They kept on cutting to that dream, her having the dream, and her having.
But like,
shit
can't start going down until the virus spreads to other people. So it can't just be her taking on everybody. So like, it needs to spread so that it's like a movement. I
think part of the issue, Stephen, for you and I, maybe, and maybe not as much Casey, is that and I don't know if this is true for you, Stephen, but like I am so used to Game of Thrones now, where like shit like happens quickly, like pieces get moved and like shit just goes down.
Yeah,
fucking Starks are getting murdered. Like bam, this just happened. And I think for me, I forget that the first season of Game of Thrones did the exact same thing that this first season of Westworld was doing, in building the world, planting the seeds, kind of putting the pieces in place, so that season 2, bam, you know. So maybe that's what's going to happen here.
No, I definitely think, you know, there's lots of shows that are slow at first and they take a while to get going and they're getting their footing and everything. But I just, you know, there were just several things I felt like were wasted scenes. And there were several times I was just bored and like checking my phone. I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be paying attention. Like, you know, like this is a show that I thought would keep my attention, and they really weren't, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying I'm giving up on the show. I'm still intrigued. I still think it's beautiful. It's well acted. I definitely think this has a lot of potential. I think I set the bar too high in my head, and you know, it's now just living up to some other expectations.
Right.
Yeah, I think you probably had the opposite of me, because I kept my expectations low because I love the 73 film. So I was like, well, we'll see where this goes, because the original 73 film was really like straightforward. It doesn't have a lot. I don't know how it could sustain a series unless they included all the different worlds, which they still could do.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea if they want to keep it going.
Well, and we got a hint about that, right? Because Dolores' original dad, when he says that line about violent delights or whatever, the Jeffrey Wright character is like, oh, that's a holdover from when he was like a professor quoting Shakespeare.
Oh, it's like a murder mystery or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's like Victorian world or something. Maybe.
Which planted in my head that obviously there's other parks too, or maybe Westworld used to be like Jane Austen world, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, like Austin Land, like that movie with Carrie Russell. Yeah. So my expectations were like, I thought the trailer was absolutely amazing, but I was like, let's hold off, because I love the movie. But even though I love Evan Rachel Wood, I was like, well, she's done some bad things before. Yeah. So, I adore her. Everyone's really good on the show.
Yeah.
Andy Newton's really good. She totally makes up for that terrible Condoleezza Rice she did in the movie W. The worst thing ever. But I really like it. Love is a strong word. I don't love it, but I really like it.
I think for me, the other thing that I thought is such an interesting theme is like, this is sort of the evolution of gaming. To me, when I was watching these guys go through this world, it reminded me of like Fallout, or, you know, some of these games where it's like, it's just an open world and you go along and maybe you chat with this guy and he talks about a treasure map and you can go on this other quest, you know, like, and they had that guy that, you know, kept on wanting to sell him the treasure map, you know, and these are quests that you can go on that don't have there's no goal. It's just, you know, you can do these little mini adventures, you know, and I'm like, this is where gaming is going.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, because I've been playing a lot of The Witcher 3. And essentially, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that game world at all, but it's like ye olden times, magic, medieval, whatever. But like, you're walking through towns and like you'll encounter people and talk to them and they're like, oh my God, like bandits like totally raped my sister and stole all our money. And you know, you have a choice to like either run after them and try and help out, or continue on the side quest or whatever, right? or on the main quest. And all the time I'm like, you know what? I don't care about your sister. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like just power forward. And so as I'm watching in the show, it's so interesting that like the guy's friend or boss or whatever is like, no, like, dude, like you don't have to do that shit. Like that's stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, listen, man, let him have his own Westworld experience for the first time. Like, hookers are a dime a dozen. Especially chlamydia-ridden hookers in the Old West.
Oh, man.
But actually, I take it back. The only question that I had from the 2 episodes were regarding the Ed Harris character.
Right.
Because I'm like, well, if he's like running rampant and doing all this crazy stuff, like, does he just have unlimited carte blanche? Like, is he like a multi-billionaire that can just stay there and do that? No one is coming after him. And like, why are you still here? Why are you wreaking havoc in our system?
I don't know how I caught this in my wine-induced state, but I think it's the 2nd episode. Like, because he's like going on this killing rampage and like Mexican town, right? And one of the programmers, who, by the way, I love that there's all these like programmers and tech geeks and people doing stuff, and we don't see one single person typing on a keyboard. I think that's amazing. But we see one of those tech people basically say, you know, oh my gosh, do we need to like put something in place to slow him down because he's really racking up a lot of expensive kills? And they're like, nope. He's a Viet. Let him do whatever he wants.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah. Like they said, let him do whatever he wants, and then they end the scene, and then in that scene when he's in the Mexican land or whatever, he says, "I've been coming here for 30 years." So he obviously like, and he's looking to do more and more because he's bored. You know, like he's explored every other adventure.
It's kind of like your Safeway rewards card. Oh my god, rack up points, right?
It kind of reminded me of like how there's the fabled island where rich people go and they can hunt people.
Yeah, very much
like
so.
that. It's like where Trump and Warren Buffett go.
Exactly.
There's some land somewhere where they can hunt people with no repercussions.
Well, it sounds like all 3 of us are going to continue watching Westworld, so maybe we'll revisit it in a couple of weeks.
Perhaps
see if things have gotten better. We have a lot of other shows I know we want to talk about, though. Yeah. So maybe we'll just do like a quick 5-minute like pulse check in a couple of weeks. Like, hey, are we feeling better? Are we not?
Right.
But guys, how do we feel about some plugs as we look to wrap up?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, awesome.
God, what do I want to plug? Oh, let's look at my huge long list.
So I'll go first, Casey, while you take a look at your list. I was actually recently catching up on a show that I just did not get a chance to watch over the summer when it premiered, and that's the new season of Orange is the New Black.
Oh yeah, I'm behind on that.
Are you guys both current?
I'm all caught up.
I'm way behind. I'm 1 season behind. I didn't watch the most recent one.
Well, it gets dark.
I know who dies, unfortunately.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, I'm not going to spoil anyone who's listening who doesn't, but one thing I will say, so many of my complaints about the show have been totally addressed at this point. I feel like the show has taken a turn and really brought some gravitas to it that I felt like was really needed. And there's this notion of like actions really do have motherfucking consequences in this world. And Stephen, I think that's where that darkness you're referencing is coming from. So I absolutely loved the back half of the season. The beginning few episodes, I was kind of like, ugh, fuck, here we go again. And I actually watched the first 3 episodes with Jim, and we stopped watching for like 2 months. We were like, oh, God, really? And if we had just watched like one more episode, we would have like binged the whole thing in a weekend. So really, really good. If you're like me, and after the first few seasons of Orange is the New Black, you almost kind of gave up. Season 4, totally, I feel kind of smooth out the scale. So,
good.
Check it.
Yeah. But I never felt that way about the show. I because the show finally kind of got it around like, I don't know, season 2, that Piper was the least interesting out of all those characters. So really focused on everyone else and really like kind of made her have to own her privileged white girl shit.
But like I hated
the whole thing
her.
with Alex was really irritating. I'm just like, I'm over this.
But like I hated Piper seriously at the end of last season and the beginning of this season. And now she is someone I really care about again.
Oh wow!
Which I didn't think was possible. I did not think that would happen.
I didn't think that would happen either because I haven't cared about her since like episode 1.
I know.
Season 1.
So yeah.
No, actually, the last time I cared about her was season 2, the first episode when she was a Laura Petty in the prison. I was like, oh, this is so sad, and then it was like, oh, she's back with these bitches. Okay, what a miserable existence.
Well, Casey, what have you got this week for your?
Oh my gosh. Okay, no joke. Like this is my list. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
but like,
goodness.
yeah, this is all the stuff I watch on the days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, basically every day of the week except for Saturday. Let's see. Okay, I will promote the Tuesday night lineup, which I missed tonight, but I cannot wait to watch tomorrow, which is The Middle, Fresh Off the Boat, The Real O'Neals, and American Housewife on ABC. And The Middle is really good. I think it's like the 8th season, and it's still really good. Unlike Modern Family, which is terrible and has been for a while now. Fresh Off the Boat is great. It's about a Chinese-American family in 90s Florida. Hilarious. American Housewife is a new show about a pleasantly plump housewife in Beverly Hills, and she's surrounded by pretty people. It's better than it sounds from my description. But the real gem is The Real O'Neals, which I have loved since last season. It's the only show right now that has a central gay protagonist, a teenage boy in a Catholic Irish family in Chicago. And he had some controversy follow him around earlier this year when he gave an interview, and he kind of I forget who it was he said this about. It was some like hot guy that came out of the closet, but it was not really coming out of the closet. It was like a teasing of his fans, and he called him out on it, and everyone attacked him and was like, don't watch this show. It's terrible. No, The Real O'Neals is really good, you guys. It's hilarious. And Martha Plimpton plays the mom, and the hot guy that played Stan in Mad Men is the dad.
Oh.
Stan, the bearded hot guy who ended up with Peggy at the end. Yeah, he's the dad.
This is The Real O'Neals?
The Real O'Neals.
Was that the show that had the camping trip episode about Reese Witherspoon and Wild?
Yes, where he watched Reese. Yes, he watched Wild.
I've only seen that episode because
I do love that episode.
Knew that I was like obsessed with the movie Wild, so he's like, you gotta watch this episode. I didn't know who anybody was or what the setup was, but it was funny.
Yeah, I do love that show. It's really good. It's very funny.
Awesome. Very cool. Steven, how about you, my friend?
This just ended, but I was so in love with it this season that I'm recommending people go and get it on demand or something. Halt and Catch Fire.
I need to catch up on that.
I mean, I was kind of worried. I'm like, where are they going to go with this and everything? This past season was fantastic. So good. It really hooked me back into the show. And I can't wait for where they're going to go next with it. I think they're doing such an excellent job with.
I think next season is going to be the last.
I could imagine that. Yeah. They jumped.
They just announced that the next season is going to be the last, so it should end well.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's been such a good series. I really enjoy it.
I need to watch it. I remember we reviewed it. The pilot or the first episode of it on this very show. Yeah. But I fell behind like 3 episodes later because it was before the patented Brad 5 episode.
It was.
It was before I adopted that. But I know it's on Netflix, so I really do need to catch up on it because I hear great things.
It definitely goes slow at times and everything, but it's a great character piece. And the 4th season really they take advantage of all those little character intricacies they've kind of planted seeds with throughout the first 3 seasons. So they did a really good job.
Awesome. Did you watch it on Netflix? Was season 4 on there?
I watched it, as it was happening.
Oh, as it was happening. Yeah. Oh, okay. Gosh, that's bad.
He's a live watcher, Casey.
I'm usually a live watcher too, but like Survivor and RuPaul's Drag Race, I watched both of those live.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, this was super fun. Steven,
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late.
I know you
That's
had to
okay.
rush home
Better
in
late than
traffic.
never. What is that? What is
Right.
that we just said earlier? It's better to have loved and lost than to
Never to have loved
Yes.
it all.
But at least we got to love you for a little bit before we lose
Yes.
We didn't get to love you long time, Steven.
Yeah,
you. No, we love you short time.
Love a short
That's
time.
okay.
All right. Well, that wraps us for this week. Welcome back to fall TV season. There's going to be a lot more MBP TV coming at you now that our shows are back. So stay tuned, everybody. But for now, we will see y'all later. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Enjoy TV.
He said it. Yes.